Do a quick introduction, and then I will get to it. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Unfiltered Information Podcast. Here with my guest this week, Chris. He's a fellow Instagram follower, and he messaged me, said he wanted to do one, so here we go. Welcome, Chris.
Hey,
Awesome to have you on, man. Thanks for wanting to do this.
good to be here. Yeah.
So we were shooting text back and forth before this happened, before we started, and you said that there was a few topics that you weren't sure if we could discuss more or less because of the sensitivity of them. You automatically caught my attention with that. So what kind of topics are we talking about?
I mean, the public issue in the world right now about to question the corona.
Got you. State of the world. So I think the state of the world, more or less.
Yeah. I mean, we see the facts. Like officially, we look at the numbers, right? And this isn't from conspiracy stuff. This is straight from the CDC and the World Health. Talk about how out of all the cases going on, they're talking about or they say it's spiking or whatever they say every day. 99% of those cases are mild. Only 1% are considered serious.
Less than 1%, honestly.
Yeah. And then we look at the actual what's going on with how they're testing, and it's kind of people who are actually, allegedly dying, and we see the numbers aren't really adding up.
Mm-hmm. And it's important to know the average death of a COVID person is over the average age of a regular death, which is just crazy.
Yeah, so even if you count the official numbers, and you take that into consideration, and you realize the amount of people, the healthy people that are dying is very, very small.
Mm-hmm.
So that's official. I mean, people go even further and say, they're just totally making it up. And unfortunately, around a lot of people discuss that about getting banned.
It's more taboo to talk about the fact that if you have proper vitamins and nutritions and zinc and minerals, that you beat it pretty quickly. I mean, why is that something that's taboo to talk about nowadays with this whole situation? It seems like if you talk about that, you're a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, I mean, it's like all of a sudden they care about our health. I mean, clearly this country, they care about our health so much. That's why we have such great health care. That's why everyone's so healthy. That's why the government just cares about us, man.
For the first time in history, our government's starting to actually give a shit. It's pretty ironic.
Yeah.
I've always said that if the government actually cared about us, they would make cigarettes illegal. I mean, that's 500,000 deaths every year related to cigarettes. It's not about freedom. It's about the fact that they don't care if people die or not, as long as they can treat them. It's all one big business.
Yeah, they tax the cigarettes. They make so much money from it. They're not going to stop that.
Nope, not at all.
I mean, I don't agree with banning really much of anything. Like, there was alcohol prohibition. That didn't work. The war on drugs. There's still lots of drugs.
Mm-hmm.
So fully solution.
No, I didn't mean ban tobacco products. I just meant it as an example. I'm very anti-banning substances myself as well. I think it does more harm than good.
Dude, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, we're adults, right? We can make our own decisions.
Exactly.
But,
What really? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I was just going to say that people see the government as like this parental authority figure, like a protector, a provider, like a freaking mom and dad. But yeah.
Last time I checked, mom and dad don't tax people and start wars, though.
Mm-hmm.
What really gets people this whole COVID situation is the fact that Bill Gates has stepped up big time. With the vaccine, with the potential microchipping, with all that, the patent 666, all that weird shit. Why he is not a medical doctor. No one seems to want to discuss this on the news, that he's not a doctor.
Isn't that weird? But one point about Bill Gates I'd like to make is that if we rewind time a little bit with history, it was the Rockefellers that really founded this country. I mean, yeah, they found oil. They immediately went into politics, obviously banking. They went into education. They basically founded a modern education system.
Yep.
They went into mental health. And then about the time 1970s, computers became a thing. They were vice president, the Rockefellers, and everything else. Then when the 1970s came around, they just stopped. When it came to computers, they were like, nah, we're not interested in computers. We're going to be involved in literally everything you can imagine.
Except the biggest blow up of the modern world. Sketchy.
Yeah, so in my opinion, Bill Gates is just like a figurehead for the Rockefellers. They needed a new guy. They realized that they can't have every institution run by someone with the name Rockefeller. They found, Bill Gates. and his family has been an elite family since the beginning, not some small time, made a little company in the garage. He wants to make believe, like his parents, his whole family, they're very well connected in the government.
I've been saying for a while that I think Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg and all these big Silicon Valley heads are all part of some sort of CIA operation, or it could be Rockefeller or Rothschild's partnership as well. But I always said CIA because of the fact that the data that's being transmitted and all the information that's being spread amongst people, that's data collected by the government.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one interesting fact. There was a DARPA, DARPA, the military. They had a project called Light Log, and you read about it, and basically it sounds like what Facebook is now, and it's called Light Log. And if you type that in, you'll see that the date that it was announced that DARPA canceled Light Log was the same exact date that Facebook was founded.
No shit.
You can look it up, man. It's hard to believe, but...
No, dude, there's so many things that I've heard that are so much more far-fetched than that I believe most things that I hear nowadays. I don't even question them half the time.
I mean, you should question it. You should just believe it.
Oh, I don't believe it blindly, but they don't sound irrational to me anymore, I should say.
Yeah, gotcha.
It kind of turned once I learned about Epstein. Once I learned about Epstein and all that, everything else I started hearing about didn't seem as crazy and out there anymore. You know what I mean? And this was 3 or 4 years ago when I first heard about it.
I mean, the craziest part that I've heard, the whole Epstein situation in the mainstream media, like, yeah, he's getting attention in the mainstream media, Epstein, like, having all this time and stuff, and just laying even. They never won. Even though Epstein, they bring up his connection with the British royal family, they never won, and from what I've heard, brought up Jimmy Savile. You know Jimmy Savile?
Yep, he was with the royal family.
Yeah, he was huge in Britain. Like, if you lived in Britain, there was no way that you haven't heard it. He was like God status celebrities, like,
He was also knighted. He was knighted by the royal family, which is important to note. That's how close he was with them.
Yes, he was good friends with the Queen's son. I mean, and you're gonna tell me that MI5 security agencies, they never looked at him, they never did a background check or followed him. He had this huge ring, and he ran all by himself, and no one else was involved. Like, that is the biggest bullshit you could ever imagine. Think that he did it all by himself and no one else knew. This high-level celebrity guy, close with the people in the government, the royal family, everything, media. Kind of hard to believe.
Yeah, what's hard to believe is the fact that there's so many people in cooperation with these pedophiles. That's what's really crazy. There's so many people, so many well-known celebrities and politicians, head of states, that are all somehow intertwined with all these people, corporation heads, all the above.
Yeah, it just goes on and on, and people will joke about it, like it's an open secret. There's a documentary too.
Now, why do you think there's? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that they were joking about Harvey Weinstein. What was it, Chuck McFarlane maybe on the Grammys or something like that. He's making jokes about Weinstein. Basically running the show and all the girls. I forget what he said.
Yeah, Ricky Gervais, right? Yeah, that was kind of crazy that he went out on stage and said all that. I remember when that first happened. He was like, "Oh, you got to find your own way here because Epstein's in jail or something like that. You have to ride on your own airplane." I was like, "Wow!" And he's like, "Don't laugh. You were friends with them. Like, you don't hear people call people out like that, especially on television."
Yeah, they called it out before it even came out, though. That's what I said. Yeah, then they said it after like that. They're just joking about it. I mean, it just shows how cocky they can be.
Yeah. Now, why do you think that so many people are interconnected with all this, with the secret business that goes on? Do you think it's blackmail, like Alex Jones and all them say, or in his people, or do you think it's more that these people genuinely enjoy being with younger people and doing these rituals and sacrifices?
Oh, it's definitely a mix for sure. I mean, there's definitely the blackmail going on. I mean, that's pretty much come out now, as confirmed. But a lot of people just want to have that kind of power. These people are power hungry, and it's kind of easier to power over someone younger and slower than. That might be why they're into it. The ones who want it. I mean, it's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, or no matter what, it's fucked up. There's no way around that.
Power. People say it's about money. Oh, they just want money. Like, no. they're involved with people that actually make the money. They print the money that we all work for. We just obtain the money. It's not about money for them. It's about power. And what is power? Power is about having control. That's what they really want. Like control over the people, control over the kids. I mean, you see the education system. That's really what's messing up the whole country. Education system. Not really educating.
No, the educational system is just about systematically remembering events and dates and numbers and all that. It's not actually about learning. If it was about learning, we wouldn't have people failing school. People would want to actually be interactive with their fucking children. People would actually want to interact with their students. People would actually care about their job and going to school. It's not about learning. It's about passing. There's a big difference there.
Yeah, and even the word educate, I believe, comes from Latin, and it means to lead out, to bring out the child's potential. But instead, the education system today is about the instill information. It's about bringing out the knowledge from your child, about programming them, and basically going against their own intuition. And that's the main problem right now. People don't even follow their own intuition. And that's why the world's a lot of lies.
What would you personally change about the education system? Because I got a lot of ideas myself, but I haven't really talked to anybody else about this. So what would you change about it for the better?
Well, have you seen Zeitgeist?
Zeitgeist? That sounds familiar. Is that a documentary?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, okay. If I haven't heard it, then I'll definitely look into it if I haven't watched it.
Yeah, it's a 3-part documentary. It shows something that's called the Venus Project. And what that is basically a future society, sustainable, they call it a resource-based economy. And basically how to live in this kind of world, futuristic society, not utopian because that's impossible, but we got to get as close as we can. Basically using technology to free people. Because for technology, we could build rockets, bomb people, or to go to space. It's really up to us how we use technology. People might say, "Oh, the phones are bad." Well, only if you use them in a way to distract and make a fool of yourself. You use them for good too. So it's how we use it. So how to make a better society? I think the simplest way to put it would be to build vertical farms already on Earth and produce enough food to feed everyone. But so much of that food goes to waste and it's not distributed properly. And poverty is really the biggest issue here. People are, hungry and they struggle to survive. That's going to cause crime. It's going to cause all kind of problems. I mean, Martin Luther King talked about how poverty is a real issue here. And, it brings out classism and it's just an extension of racism. So if we really want to fix that, we got to go after poverty first and foremost. And the people running the world, they don't want that because they want private jets. They want their helicopters and stuff. Not everyone on Earth can have a helicopter or a private jet or a mansion with 1,000 acres. So they're not going to let that happen. They don't want us all to be rich. That's why most people are poor. It's suppression. So yeah, if we build these farms, everyone would be well fed. It'd be easy to build them. I mean, it wouldn't be like any much more complicated than a factory and stuff. And then clean water pipeline, building a sustainable kind of like based housing. I mean, it seems like in this country they stopped doing that. The project, it's become the hood, they say. But low-income housing projects, you don't really see it happening throughout New York, around here anymore. So if everyone had that kind of base standard of living where they didn't have to struggle to survive, I feel like we'd be thriving. It would have so much more opportunity for thriving. And people will say, oh, if they don't work, then they'll feel like their life has no meaning. Well, a lot of people are working in their, shitty jobs and stuff, and they're feeling depressed because of it. If we look at most jobs in the country, most of them are technically unnecessary, and that goes for the whole world.
How so?
If we look at just look how technology is advancing. There's driverless cars. That's going to replace millions of jobs. And now with COVID going on, right? People are afraid of other humans. Do you want some kid making your food at McDonald's, or do you want a robot to do it? Because for McDonald's, it'll be cheaper for them to hire a robot than pay a personal living wage. So they're going to replace it as soon as they really can. They're socially acceptable. They already are with the kiosk, cashierless touchscreen checkout.
Yeah, self-checkout stations.
this is going to replace millions and millions of jobs, and that's going to cause the greater recession. Greater depression, because there's no tech jobs that are going to be coming up to replace these millions of jobs in the time that they will be replaced. People say, oh, well, technology is going to replace more jobs. It's going to make more jobs. Everyone's going to be fine. There's move on to become coders or stuff. That's not really realistic. We're on unprecedented territory here.
Yeah, what you're saying is basically what Andrew Yang was saying about truck drivers. How being a truck driver is the most popular job, most common job in like half the country, but in 10 years, 15 years, it's gonna be outsourced to straight AI robots. So would you go the same way that he goes with the universal basic income? Is that what you're like? Is that what you would decide for?
Yeah, sort of, gotta be careful here, because it sounds good, right? Like,
Everything sounds good on paper.
sounds good, like, okay. Like, I was a fan of Andrew Yang, he actually brought this topic into the mainstream finally. I've been
Yeah.
talking about it for years. First mainstream got to actually bring it into the public discussion. I'm very happy he did that. And it's interesting, as soon as he was talking about that, right after talking about a basic income, the government rolls out checks for everyone. Free money, So it kind of makes me prepare us for that. And now we kind of see where the future's heading here, where we are, where it's going to get to the point where if you don't get the vaccine, then you're not going to get your monthly check. And then that brings in the whole, 1984 microchip on your head kind of society that the conspiracy theorists have been warning us about for decades, many decades.
Yeah, starts out with first you don't get a vaccine, then you can't go to work, then you can't buy food, then you can't buy anything in the store. That's how it's going to ripple down.
Yeah, so they're going to do a basic income, but that's how they're going to do it. It's going to be cashless, it's going to be just a chip or like a wearable kind of wristband or something, personally. And, that's how you're going to get your basic income. So it sounds good. Martin Luther King talked about it too, basic income can save people. I think it's a good idea, but ultimately the money system, that's not how money works. You can't just keep making money up out of nothing, because it's actually made out of debt. The national debt has gone up so much. I got to double check this, but if you take all the U.S. dollars in existence, just this year in 2020, they added about 20% more dollars out of nothing. They're making these checks just increases the debt.
Yep. Yeah, you can't print money to fix the problem. That's not how it works.
Yeah, exactly. So we need a whole new system. And I think a better world is possible, man. That's what keeps me going, at least. I see the potential in humanity. I know our intuition, man, is so strong. Like, humans are so powerful. And we're just being oppressed, and people are they're losing hope. I mean, that's the idea here. You watch the TV news, and you're gonna, like, feel so depressed, so down. You're going to feel helpless, like a little tiny person. Oh, I have no power. These people on the news. So the programming is strong, but I've seen the human spirit come through when I know it's powerful.
Yeah, the programming and the lack of free speech in this country is starting to become a real problem, in my opinion. I mean, we're looking at a full-on 1984 Orwellian reality. What's your opinion on tech companies censoring people online? Do you think if you're an American-based company, you should have to follow the First Amendment for freedom of speech, or do you think that because they're a privatized company, they can do whatever they feel like? Because I feel like this isn't talked about nearly enough, but they go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just heard. I watched half of the Joe Rogan and Alex Jones 15 podcast, and it did bring that up. And they're talking about how Google is basically a public utility at this point. Maybe they should break it up, the government. But at the same time, I don't like the government, which is a monopoly in and of itself, forcing other corporations. But we already know that Google and Facebook and the government are all intertwined. And if you want proof of that, one example would be Regina Durham. She was ahead of DARPA, okay, the military.
Yeah.
And then she was ahead of Google. Top-level Google, and then she would have to be ahead of Facebook. So you're going to tell me, like, having a government agent going through these other top positions of these tech companies, and it's just like how the government uses servers from Amazon. I mean, they're all working together one way or another. So I think the censorship is the thing.
How do we fix the censorship though? Because if the thing is, if you take a little bit of freedom away from somebody, they never get it back. I mean, that's pretty apparent with the Patriot Act and the Stellar Wind projects and all of those that the government pulled with wiretapping and shit. So how do we stop it in its track before it gets even worse? Because right now you can't say shit online without people wanting to get you banned. I mean, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I mean, how do we stop it? It's a good solution here. Ultimately, if people are better educated towards what's really going on, then they wouldn't stand for censorship. I mean, it's unreal, man. I'm seeing YouTube channels being taken down left and right. Like, people that I've followed for, many years, that like 500 million subs, and just deleted left and right, these people. And, if what they were saying was untrue, why can't they just prove them wrong?
Exactly.
Instead of just silencing them, that's not really proving them wrong. They shouldn't to say, okay, no, the government's telling the truth, look at all these facts. But they really can't do it. They just have to sort of be very selective with the statistics and information that they show us in order to paint the narrative that they want to paint, such as the numbers.
Yeah, what really got me, I'm not a QAnon type of person. I was for a brief period of time, and then I kind of looked at it and realized, it's probably just another PSYOP operation like all the other ones. But what really got me kind of upset was that Facebook and Instagram was banning hundreds of thousands of QAnon accounts. And like you said, if they're wrong, why does it matter? You know what I mean? If they're not saying anything that's legitimate, why are you taking them down?
Yeah, it's interesting. QAnon, it's funny, right? So I'm not entirely sure, but apparently it started on like 4chan or something like that.
Yeah.
And totally anonymous people making claims that they're insiders within the government and stuff like that. And it's kind of funny because they support Trump, right? And then you got Alex Jones who supports Trump. And the funny part is that Alex Jones and Q don't like each other. They both call each other fraud. Have you seen that? I mean,
yeah, that's why I stopped liking QAnon, to be honest with you, because they started talking shit about Alex Jones, and I'm a big Alex Jones fan.
Oh, are you now?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'll be honest. He got me into a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that. He's definitely done a lot of good. Unfortunately, now I feel like he's compromised deliberately, but possible it's accidental. But I don't know. He's a smart guy, so essentially he talks about how he has he comes from a family that has all these top level positions. Because like goes to a family gathering, half his family there is CIA. There's multiple people in his family that are third degree Freemasons and stuff like that. So he says that's how he gets information. It's through these government insiders that he is close with. But who's to say that these insiders aren't feeding him misinformation? Now.
So it's exactly what they do with the UFO community. The government used to purposely throw out false information to deceive the public. It's happened many times. It's very possible it could be happening now too.
Yes, that's what I'm saying with QAnon. Like I'm pretty positive that's what it is. PSYOP, fake, a fake conspiracy put out by the government to make conspiracy theorists look crazy. Because there's just no facts behind what they're saying. They go overboard with everything.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what it was for me? I just wanted hope in something when I first got into them. You know what I mean? I was just in a place where I was like, you know what? Someone's got to be telling the truth, so I'm going to side with them. And I was very big on Trump for his first 2 or 3 years because of the sex trafficking arrest mainly. And then I started looking more into him, and I kind of lost interest in Trump. I kind of had the realization that in order to get to that position, he had to have been compromised in some way. You know what I mean? No one gets to that position of power without being put there on purpose. So if the elite wants him there, then he's there for a reason. I just haven't found out what that reason is yet.
Like you said, man, hope. They want us to lose hope. They want us to be desperate for a savior. That's what it really is. I'm seeing it with even my family. They're like, oh, yeah, Trump is against the bad guy, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, what has he really done? Hillary in prison like he promised? Like, no. He said he was talking to get exposed from the room behind 9/11. He never talked about it again.
Not once.
I mean, the years have gone on now. It's pretty evident that he hasn't done everything he was going to say. And I'm not just trying to keep the Democrats all that are stopping him from, exposing the truth. He would have done it by now. He would have risked his life. Syria. And, who knows what's really going to happen. I don't trust him at all.
Yeah, like I said, as soon as I kind of realized that there's no way you'd make that position of power without being compromised of some sort, I kind of just bailed on him. But so who do you think is going to win this upcoming election? With that being said, who do you think's taking?
Mr. Donald. Yeah, I mean, if you want to know what I thought back then, as soon as he announced it, I was like, oh, I was thinking he might win. But then when I saw the first debate, how they put him front and center and made the whole thing about him, and the media talked about him like 90 times more than everybody else, it was pretty obvious that he was going to win the first election. And now it just happened again. The mainstream media is like, oh, Biden's ahead. Like, no, he's not. Come on. So it's just nonsense. It's propaganda. It's divide and conquer is really the main thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Just go ahead.
Yeah, false hope. So we just put our trust in a politician, another person. The truth is, no one's going to come save you but yourself, all right? Maybe Jesus is going to come down and save you from all this, but until then, it's up to you. So it's up to us to really make a difference here.
Yeah, it's definitely not up to Trump or Biden or any government official. If you want change, you got to start with yourself. That's the most important advice. Especially Biden, because Biden can't even form a fucking sentence nowadays, so I don't think he's going to help anybody.
It's a total joke. It's a total circus show. I don't buy it, these people are they have way too much money, they got way too much power. You're really going to trust what they say when they're reading off the script.
Have you heard about, looked into, I should say, Hunter Biden's laptop and all this stuff on there? Yep.
See, I haven't. Because in my eyes, I'm saying that's just part of the circus show. The president's using distraction. Because regardless of who wins, the military is still in power, the banking system is still in power. It's not like all of a sudden, all of the president comes in, everyone else in the government is suddenly changed. No, they're all still there. They're still there. The president's just basically a face, a figurehead to blame. And I said this back in 2015 that Trump is going to be the capitalist fall guy, and they're going to blame the crash of the economy on him. And it happened. So I guess hey, I've been wrong before. I want to bring that up now because I've been wrong. There's videos on my YouTube channel that are wrong. I made plenty of posts that have wrong information in it. And that's through this journey of realizing that we're being lied to. We have to shift through all these lies. And then you realize that because we're being lied to on the massive scale, that they purposely put out this information, like, oh, the grassy knows, you have to shift through all this nonsense, and, you're going to be wrong. Everyone's wrong. Like, no one's right all the time. So you got to... And that's a big problem with today's society is people do not want to admit when they're wrong. They'll straight up we won't accept it. They just can't accept being wrong. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, being wrong and being a conspiracy theorist kind of go hand in hand, you know what I mean? You have to kind of sort through all the bullshit, like you said, to find the reality of what's actually happening. A lot of disinformation out there. Always has been, always will be.
Yeah, being wrong and being people is one and one.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I only asked about Hunter Biden's laptop because there's a lot of supposedly child pornography on there and him butt naked smoking crack with children in the picture. So that's why I kind of asked if you looked into it because it kind of goes hand in hand with the sex trafficking sort of aspect of it. That's what caught my attention.
Is it really? Was there pictures or?
Yeah, nude pictures of him with children in the pictures, and I guess there's just a gigantic amount of children's photos on his laptop. But again, that's the thing is, it has been declassified to the public yet, and how can you truly believe it? I kind of wanted to ask that because that kind of goes with the QAnon bullshit too, because it could be nonsense on their part, or it could be that they actually found stuff on his laptop. I think it was Judy Christiani or whatever his name is, yeah, who mentioned it though.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let me just think for a second. Yeah, it could very well be true. And if it's true, what they're doing is basically just a controlled demolition of the system, of the economy of America. So they're going to throw some people under the bus, like the Clinton, blah, blah, blah. Epstein. They'll throw these people under the bus. They'll, they'll like, oh, they're liars, they're bad people, Hunter Biden or whoever else. They'll do that just so, because the goal here is to have, if the goal of the New World Order, that means the old world order needs to be over with. And if these are the top people, running this current world order, they got to get rid of them if they want a new one. So they're going to throw these people under the bus, and that's what they're doing.
Fair enough. I didn't think about that. That very well could be true as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Personally, I'm not going to say I support the New World Order in any way, shape, or form, but I wouldn't be mad if they were trying to purposely get rid of some of these old politicians who have been in office for fucking 40 years. I mean, we need change. I don't want New World Order change, but I want change. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, there's going to be a New World Order regardless. It could be good, it could be bad. There's going to be a New World Order. It's just mathematically, technologically, the technology now is going to completely change the system, like I'm saying, with jobs, and it's going to completely change the way the world works. Because without a job, how are they going to pay you? How are they going to live? It's going to completely change the system. A whole new world order is going to happen. The question is, who's going to be running this new world order? And it's going to be for man's benefit or the benefit for a few on top.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's looking like people lean towards a few on top. And like I'm saying, how they throw some people under the bus, they're propping up some people to be like the leaders of the new world order. I think Elon Musk is at the head of that. I don't think he's a nice guy. I mean, he might be a nice guy. He might be safe. And I feel like at the same time, he's just having fun, playing your role, just like Donald Trump. He's playing a role. He's acting, in my opinion. He's an actor. He's had plenty of time in Hollywood, many movies and TV shows. So.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Elon Musk up until the Neuralink thing. Once I started hearing about that, I started getting a little sketched out.
Isn't that funny, man? He says, like, oh, AI is going to be the biggest threat to humanity, and then he wants to connect us to AI.
Yeah.
Like, hang on a minute. Did you watch his unveiling?
Yeah.
On stage?
Yeah.
You did?
It was on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was sketchy as shit the whole time. The whole time I was just thinking to myself, I'm not a religious person. Like, I believe in a higher power, but the whole time I was thinking, this is like the mark of the devil. You know what I mean? Like they talk about in the Bible and shit. The mark of the beast, I should say.
Well, dude, when I was watching that, when I'm watching Elon Musk announce his new cars, like, you can tell, he's smiling, he's happy,
Yeah.
he's excited, cool cars. When I was watching him announce Neuralink, I mean, in my opinion, bro, he looks scared. Like, he would try to crack a joke, just be dead silent, no one was laughing, like, everyone was, like, sketched out. Like, it wasn't funny. He was trying to, like, make jokes like, oh, it's not mandatory yet. And people just weren't having it. Like, he was, like, trying to crack a smile and just, like, he looked scared, man. So, yeah, I don't trust that.
No, I don't trust anything that's going to put the foreign entity into my body at all, especially if it's robotic. I don't like that idea at all.
Mm-hmm.
It seems very easily manipulated, too, for, I feel like I was thinking about this earlier today, actually, because I was watching the rest of the Alex Jones podcast and Joe Rogan, and I forget what they were talking about, but they mentioned something, and I started thinking to myself, like, how easy would it be for them to purposely increase the dopamine levels or serotonin levels in your brain if you had neurochip in, so that you would never want to take it out? You know what I mean? So you're always euphoric.
Yeah, man. That's a good point. Because at that state, they're saying, oh, you can take it out. You can just pop the microchip out, take those wires out. But then, like, you go up that point, it could become addicting. Because they actually are saying, you are not been on date. Like, you don't want to eat. You don't want to feel sadness ever again. You just delete that. And, basically be a robot.
Yeah. It's scary as shit. It's like, the fact that this is our reality is even more terrifying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and going out with things to help people with disabilities. So one example, a few years ago, I believe Regina Durkheim talked on Facebook. She was talking about thought text. So we got typing to text, voice to text. This is thought to text. Because think about it, man. You can think so much faster than you can type your thought. So it's so convenient to have the thing hooked up to your brain that what you think goes on to a screen of text. I mean, they're already working on the technology, and there's same as for disabled people who can't move their hands, they have problems, they can't even talk or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what they're making it for. But of course, we see where it's going to end up going. It's going to be so convenient. You just can't say no. It's just so cool.
Yeah, what's really crazy is the fact that I've always thought about this way. Whatever our most advanced piece of technology is, the government is 50 to 70 years ahead of us. So if they're releasing Neuralink to the general public, that means they probably had it for relatively 20 to 30 years. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? For them to actually make it so it's capable of being used on a human, it's had to be in the work for at least 2 decades. So what else do they have that they're not showing us or they're not unveiling yet? What's the bigger thing from Neuralink? You know what I mean? That's why I always look at shit. Whenever I see a big accomplishment come out, like technologically, I always think, all right, what's behind this? What's the next big thing? Because we had drones in World War II. The VR headset, the first patent was in 1953. I mean, we're way ahead of our time.
Yeah, I think one good example of that would be geoengineering.
Yep.
They were talking about controlling the weather. King was president. He was actually at the United Nations. John F. Kennedy talking about how they have a plan to eventually control the weather.
Well, HARP and DARPA can do that already, can't they? Isn't that proven?
Yeah, I mean they do it, but they say it's for actually just if you go on Google trending right now, one of the top videos is geoengineering. Why we might have to do it to stop global warming or something along those lines.
Okay.
The top video like that if you go on trending, and so they're saying they're going to use geoengineering now to stop climate change. But the fact is, we already know they've been geoengineering many times. I mean, it's been practiced plenty of times all over the world.
I know the Saudis do it constantly, like monthly or every other month. Saudi Arabia.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Saudi Arabia does it constantly, like on a monthly basis. I'm pretty sure they make it artificially rain there.
Yeah. They do that whole they call it cloud seeding.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's another example of okay, well, what technology are they not telling us about that we already have developed? And now they're going to say, oh, now we need to start developing this technology to stop global warming.
What are your thoughts on global warming? Now we brought that up. How do you see it?
Well, climate change is the Earth's warms, it cools. I mean, they're talking about the Joe Rogan. They said, sun is obviously the biggest indicator of temperature here on Earth. It's a solar cycle. So, in my opinion, I think pollution is bad. Pollution is very bad. But the Earth's going to be here a lot longer than we are. So, I think we'll be all right. I don't think driving cars causing going to cause the ice caps to melt. I mean, it might, but I don't know.
Fair enough. Yeah, I feel like the Earth's more resilient than that and be able to take a little bit of damage. You know what I mean? Have you ever heard of intercontinental pole shifts?
Pole shifts?
Yeah, that's what I think's happening right now. Personally, it's when the north and south magnetic poles flip flop and shift. They happen every 100,000 years, and we're past due for one. I think that's my thought on it.
Yeah, there's warm periods, other ice stages, multiple ice stages. Clearly, the climate changes.
Yep.
And so they're talking about carbon taxes. So if you want to save the scam, they want to start taxing us for carbon, which carbon is pretty abundant in the universe.
It's fucking everywhere. We breathe it out every day. Yeah. It is all about taxes. That's literally what it's all about. It's all about making money off of it. And fear tactics. Fear mongering.
And remember, it's not about money. It's about power and control.
Yep.
So they're going to do that. They want to squeeze us, man. They want us to be. I mean, dude, most people in this country, even prior to this new recession, they were living paycheck to paycheck, just scraping by.
Yeah, well, the majority of Americans can't afford a $500 emergency expense. That right there should tell you enough.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, so clearly, the government cares about us greatly, and they would never want us to struggle or be in harm's way.
Oh, never. Never that.
Yeah, the economy, don't worry about it. National debt, don't worry about it. But your debt, we're going to take you to jail if you have to.
You don't pay your taxes, you go to jail. Don't worry about our $27 trillion that we owe everybody else, though.
Yeah, don't worry about all the month from all these other people. Yeah, sure.
That's another thing QAnon never talks about Trump is how much money he's put on our fucking national debt, dude. Like trillions of dollars.
Yeah, it keeps going up. It's pretty crazy.
It's unamountable at this point. You can't pay it back even if you wanted to anymore.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty bizarre. I mean, I'm glad people, like, on the bright side of it, like, I'm glad the people who do believe QAnon and Trump and whatever, like, I'm glad they are waking up. You know, they are more aware of conspiracies that are real. And I see that Alex Jones, Joe Rogan podcast, they're bringing up Bohemian Grove. Like, it's getting out into the mainstream media now. And personally, I don't trust Joe Rogan either, or Alex Jones. You know, you just gotta be skeptical of everything, really, and just question these people and their motives. But I think, you know, essentially that Joe Rogan is basically put there for the people who, they don't trust CNN, they don't even trust Fox, you know, they're really questioning what's going on. And then Joe Rogan kind of brings everyone into this, you know, he's such a huge media head now, like one of the most famous people in the world, in the country. So they have him basically be that show. So he's like, it's funny, man, because he's like acting like he doesn't know what the Bohemian Grove is. He's like, oh, the Phoenician is there. Like, oh no, it's not a child, a mock child baptized, you know. And it's like, he's like playing dumb.
Yeah, that's what I got mad about that as well. That specific topic because Alex said straight up, he's like, I was there, I saw it. You know what I mean? It's like how you gonna argue with someone who was there and seen what he saw.
Yeah, and dude, he should have heard that 20 years ago because he was friends with Alex Jones 20 years ago.
Yep.
So him playing dumb there is just, yeah, I don't trust him. He's willing to basically sell out for money, even though he has tens of millions.
Oh, hundreds of millions now after the Spotify deal.
Yeah.
That Spotify deal made him fucking set for life. I've over the past couple of years I've kind of lost like not interest in Rogan but a lot of faith because of exactly what you're saying. I feel like he's become more of a shill than anything. He refuses to talk about like interesting topics anymore. To be honest, he'll have like professional people on and that's about it. He barely has his friends on anymore. Like have you ever watched Duncan Trussell on there with him?
I haven't seen that.
Those ones are good because they talk about conspiracies and spirituality and like psychedelics. But like he doesn't talk about the topics they used to talk about. You can definitely see there's been a change in him over the past couple of years.
So you're seeing this change because I haven't kept up with him as much, and you're saying too.
Oh yeah, I've been watching him pretty consistently since 2015 or 2016 on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like he's in the past he would be like, oh, the moon landing was fake. All the
Yeah. Balls to the wall conspiracy guy.
Yeah, he was a conspiracy guy. That's why I'm saying he's like the show. He's like, oh, psychedelic drugs, you know, don't get this and bad. Why was that something? So he kind of sweeps up all these people who like realize, like, obviously, you know, weed shouldn't be illegal. You know, like he swept up all the people thinking that they have, you know, believing what he says. And I don't know if you've seen my video on YouTube about Joe Rogan.
I have not. I'll be honest. The only video I've seen of yours is the 9/11 documentary that you made, which is amazing, by the way. Amazingly edited.
Oh, thank you so much, man. Yeah, that's the only one that I really, that's the only 9/11 one out there that I really love. A lot of the ones that have a little mistake, nothing major at all, but noting. But yeah, that's the big thing in that video. Yeah, the Joe Rogan one, it sucked off with him. He had a TV show called Joe Rogan Questions Everything.
Yep.
And you know about it. So he basically doesn't question everything, he just mocks everything. And in my video, I show him blatantly, clearly lying, man. And there's no way to watch the first 2 minutes, 3 minutes of this video and be like, yeah, I trust Joe Rogan being honest, not manipulative. Because, dude, I straight up fought him. You know, I'm not so person, not me. You know, I have this proof of him lying directly. He literally, let's see what's in this interview right now. Let's you were to chop up my words and then make me say something that I didn't say. That's what Joe Rogan does, or at least his team does in his name, and he goes along with it. So there's no reason to trust him. He looks straight into the camera. After being talked about in the Alien episode, he's like, oh, if the government is willing to show me information about UFOs and aliens, I will lie to my mother. I'll make a story like he's putting straight to the camera talking about how he lied to his mother.
Did you really say that?
Oh yes, man.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I don't know if you're at the computer right now. It's only like 5 seconds, but I don't know if you can pull it up.
I'm pretty sure I've seen all the episodes on YouTube. I just don't recall that exact episode, to be honest.
Yeah,
I believe it, but I've heard him say that on his podcast too. He said if the government's listening and you want to tell me about aliens, I won't tell anybody ever. I've heard him say that word for word.
Okay, yeah, he's like, CIA, FBI, I'm available.
Yep.
Tell me the real truth. I'll sell out. I'll lie to everyone to the end of time. That's what he said. So how are you gonna trust someone like that?
It's a very valid point. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you definitely watch him later. You'll see.
I hate to see it because when I first started watching him, he was all into the conspiracies, all into be your own person, all that shit, and you just hate to see someone decline like that. You know what I mean? Someone that you used to look up to in a way. Because I was just a teenager listening to him, and I thought he was so interesting. I thought it was a cool thing to listen to, and now I can barely get through a 2-hour podcast of his without shaking my head.
Yeah, what are the reasons to say that? He plays duck pop? Because I feel like that's just an interviewing tactic. I don't know. But
the Spotify deal too, I feel like that's going to change his podcast a lot too, because he said it's just a licensing deal, but I don't believe that for one bit.
Yeah, I mean, dude, he was set for life beforehand, and then he, needs this money to basically sign his contract with all the fine print. So yeah, clearly he's willing to sell out for money.
Oh, 100%. Have you heard the controversy of Spotify employees getting mad saying that he's against transgender people?
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, a lot of employees, I don't know how many, I shouldn't say a lot, but a certain number of employees are upset about comments that he's made throughout the years about the transgender community and shit. And they're raising hell to corporate, more or less.
I mean, if he's just making jokes or seriously a hater, it's like they try to find anything to make you look bad. So they're going to find the one thing he said and then take out the context and make you look bad.
That's the definition of Alex Jones. Take what you said out of context, make you look bad.
Yeah. And I may agree about Alex Jones. That's pretty much exactly what it is. And contradicting himself in one thing than the other.
You did mention Bohemian Grove. I've thought about this too. Do you think there's more places around the country that are like Bohemian Grove that we just don't know about yet? That haven't been brought to the public eye?
Well, if you don't know about it, then we don't know. But I'm sure it's possible. It would be unlikely if that was meant to be a secret thing. Come out and, because they're like 100 years old plus. So sure there's secret meeting places. I mean, really, in my opinion, it's a secret society network that's really running the world.
I agree.
Of any country, any continent, and you see traces of that through, for example, Freemasonry. Then you got Skull and Bones and Yale University. But all these universities, all across the country, they have very similar, quote-unquote, fraternities, secret societies that are based just like Skull and Bones. And you look at elite factions in the university, all the money is being pumped through. All these elite people go there, and that's kind of how they get their positions of power.
And that's been proven time and time again. And that connects to Epstein as well, too.
Yeah.
With all these people with one position of power and shit like that. It's it's almost like you have to have something against them in order for them to reach that level, which is very weird, but
So you have to have something against?
Yeah, like against that person in order for them to get to a position of power. Like you have to have blackmail on them.
Yeah, man. I saw a funny video on YouTube. I don't know, take a note or something. I'll send you a link.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, it's a Comedy Central, and it starts off with a shot of in LA. There's this building that it's a Hollywood building, and it starts off with a shot of it. And interestingly, it has a big like Illuminati eye in the cloud. There's two triangles, one pointing up, one pointing down. That's above, so below. And it starts off with a shot of the building. I'm not showing that kind of context stuff, but that's what the building is, geographically.
Yeah.
And it talks about how it's set up that way, blackmail, and it makes a whole mockery of it. Like, you've seen Eyes Wide Shut, like it's that kind of a vibe, and showing how like a younger, aspiring artist being put through into Hollywood, and the old that they have to take, and they just put it off like it's a big joke. Like, you know what's really going on. All these clips have been coming out. You know, I'm the regular now. I'll just listen for it. And just make fun of it.
Yeah, playing it off as a joke is kind of a trend for the elite.
Yeah.
I mean, symbolism's everywhere, obviously, as you're well aware of. Whether it be in media, cartoons, television, movies, any of that. I mean, it's very apparent that Illuminati traces it around the music industry in particular. It's everywhere.
Yeah. That's why I say 9/11 was an inside joke.
You said an inside joke?
Yeah, man, it really is. Those twin pillars. I mean, there's so many little examples that I mean, I don't know if you've seen. I'll send it to you right now. I mean, there's so many examples, man. Yeah, one second. So what it is, to explain for people on the podcast and stuff. If you go to George Bush's official Facebook page and then click on his profile picture, his current profile picture, look what date it was uploaded, and look at his facial expression. You will see a picture of him smiling and laughing at his current profile picture, and it was uploaded on September 11th, 2016.
No shit.
How can he upload on the anniversary when he was president? He uploaded that video on the anniversary. See what I'm saying?
Yep.
I mean, they're laughing about it. That's on the documentary. They're laughing about the weapons of mass destruction, making jokes about it when like 1 million+ lives have been killed because of it.
That were never there. But that's beside the point.
Yeah, so they're laughing about it. But the truth is, at the same time, they're copying in a way, because, like, yeah, most people are brainwashed. But at the same time, they're scared of people like us. And that's why they're so desperately trying to shut everything down. I mean, they're, like, frantically panicking to ban everything, every alternative view. I mean, you see it happening. Why else would they be doing it if we weren't a threat? If we weren't a threat, they'll just let it be. Like, oh, they're not getting enough traction, like, no one cares about these conspiracy theories. But instead, these conspiracy theories, quote unquote, are getting so much traction, and documentaries are becoming so popular that it's up to them.
I think we're personally living in a time where there's more people right now interested in conspiracy theories than ever before, if I had to take a guess.
Yep.
Based on the amount of people that I've talked to, even just people in my life, like friends and family, that I never suspected to even take any of it seriously, are starting to kind of question the narratives.
Wow. Yeah, man, it's so true. They're questioning things now more than ever. Like, back in the day, like, you were saying, oh, I don't trust the government during Obama's era. Like, what are you talking about? But now, like, people are questioning the government. They're really questioning things. So they are more open to conspiracy facts. And, yeah, I see that for sure, too, man.
I feel like that's exactly why they're, like, for instance, when I first got into conspiracies, I was about 13 or 14, and I got into 9/11. And when I looked into 9/11 on YouTube, there was thousands of videos, documentaries. I mean, like, I could go for 3 days straight and watch just video after video after video. Now you can't do that because they're all taken down.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them, I should say, not all of them, most of them, compared to what it used to be, it's not even close.
If they're not taken down, they're so far hidden that you won't even find them on Facebook.
Yeah, you gotta go to page like 50 to find the one you watched like 3 years ago or something.
I got videos, like Freemason videos. It used to be number one when you typed it in on Google or YouTube. Number one when you typed in Freemason ritual. Now, I literally tried to go through so many pages, man. They purposely don't even list them. So, not even page 150. You just have to have the direct URL. So, some pages are still up, but you just don't find it. I already know where it is.
I have a theory. Oh, go ahead, my bad.
I was just saying it's a shame. Even the search bar has only all certain things.
I think they're doing it with social media platforms as well, not just the banning accounts, but shadow banning. I think shadow banning is such a crucial thing that's taking place right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you follow Factions of Freedom on Instagram, or Freedom Factions, I should say?
Yeah.
If you try to look him up, you cannot find him unless you type in every single letter of his name. That's the only way his name will come up on a search bar.
I've experienced that too. There's one page called Stand Up 9/11, and yeah, he's under heavy censorship too.
It's just a shame.
Mm-hmm.
And
because people are.
Go ahead.
Yeah, like you said, people are questioning more than ever. And then when they try and ask these questions on Google or YouTube, they're not finding anything.
Exactly.
So that's a real shame.
I've stopped using Google. I just use DuckDuckGo now because it's uncensored. It's the best search engine for me, in my opinion.
Dude, it makes such a huge difference.
Yeah.
You cannot do 9/11 research on Google, like making that video, man. It's a completely different list of results when typing on DuckDuckGo.
Yep. You know, it goes directly with YouTube, too, because YouTube's owned by Google. So that's why the censorship is there so heavily.
Oh, yeah.
It's a fucking... again, it's a joke, like you said. It's all one big joke. And they're all in on it. We're not.
Mm-hmm. Hey, no, we're in on it now.
Yeah, we know what they're talking about, at least. We're at the same table. But they don't want us to be.
We see the agenda pretty clearly, I think. We see the microchip agenda, the vaccine, and the contact tracing. They're going to put that all into one with the cashless society, with the what do they call them, the stimulus checks. And yeah, man, they have drones in the sky. Dude, here in New Jersey, they were using drones like they were in China to see people not social distancing in their backyards and stuff.
God.
They're doing that here in this country.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, so, I mean, you combine that all with social credit system.
Yeah, that's when we're really screwed, when we get a social credit system, because that's going to happen. There's no question about when or why. It's a question of, like, not why, I mean, it's a question of when is it going to happen, because it's inevitable.
I would like to think that it's not.
The way that we worship communist China, it just seems unlikely that it wouldn't happen. That's what I mean.
Yeah, that's what you mean, because what happened with the lockdown? China did the lockdown first, and it worked for them, they say, you know?
Yep.
So then America, okay, now we got to follow China. So clearly, yeah, we're just going to follow in their footsteps. And I just see China as like a testing ground for any new world order. They don't really have that much freedom. I heard a joke, I asked my Chinese friend how he liked living in China, and he said that he complained.
He said what? Sorry, you broke up.
Yeah, he can't complain. How's it going in China? Oh, I can't complain.
Yeah, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no one wants to talk about the fact that China is literally run by a communist dictator right now. People don't seem to want to talk about that, especially in Hollywood, because they fucking own Hollywood.
Yeah, so what do you think about Kim Jong-un?
I think Xi Jinping is worse than North Korea, honestly, in my opinion. That's just me. That's not like I'm not proving it. I got no evidence. That's just my gut feeling. I mean, look at the Muslims that are being murdered every day in concentration camps in China.
Oh yeah, no doubt. That's real.
North Korea's been pretty quiet ever since Trump became president, though, aside from doing a few missile tests here and there. But again, I think that meeting with the dictator is a first step to stopping a dictator, because at least you want peace with them. You don't want war. I'm very anti-war in any circumstance. So anytime I see someone meeting with someone who is pro-war, I get antsy, but I also get faithful that they're going to try to convince them otherwise.
Yeah, that's good. That's very good. My issue with Kim Jong-un is I don't think he's like as legit. I don't think he's really running the country, first of all. And he spent over 10 years in Europe in education, both in public and private school.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and he's like a basketball fan. You know, the Dennis Rodman thing. He played PlayStation. His classmates in Europe. If he went under he basically snuck in and like saying like there's something like an ambassador for the country or something like that. So yeah, he was like, I like what they're doing, like, and this is in the mainstream news, like, you know, CNN, BBC type stuff. They're saying this. So you're gonna say that this guy is really like the worshipful master, and everyone treats him like God, and he's really running the country? There's definitely people behind him running the country, and in my opinion, this is just my opinion. it's basically set up boogeyman. They basically have this guy, I don't know about the whole history between the Koreas, but they have this guy basically set up this whole country to be the boogeyman, so they can just endlessly say, like, oh, he's making a threat, we got to militarize more, we spend trillions of dollars of U.S. tax dollars to build up a military, because this guy might have missiles, and so I don't really know what's going on with that.
So you think they were doing that with Kim Jong-il as well, his father and grandfather?
I don't know much about their upbringing.
Okay.
They were educated and raised in Europe, but yeah, I think that's basically how the country was set up. That's too long, that's my opinion.
Fair enough. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like you said, creating an artificial boogeyman is kind of. I mean, we did that with Osama bin Laden. We did that with Saddam Hussein.
Yeah, just Osama was working with the CIA. They were partners.
Yep.
And then, that does make sense.
Yeah, like I said this earlier. Nothing really surprised me anymore. So that idea doesn't really blow my mind because I can definitely see it because of how just fucked up the American government is at this point. I mean, it's beyond repair in my opinion.
Because there needs to be a bad guy, otherwise, what's the justification for all the military?
Yep.
Like it's crazy to militarize the country. How much of our money goes to it?
If I'm not mistaken, the Korean War never officially ended either. I'm pretty sure it's still active.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. They never officially ended the war. So if that's true, that's a great way to keep the hype going for it.
Yeah. I mean, you got to give them credit where credit due. Seems like they have a pretty well thought out plan. They got generations of family, building class, royal family behind them, people 100 years in advance. But you got to give them credit.
They're definitely playing 3D chess while we're playing checkers. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But hey, their time's gonna come to an end because they cannot suppress the spirit of humanity forever. They've tried, but supreme information, the unfiltered information that really exists out there is what's gonna help actually free humanity from all these lies.
Beautifully said, man. Beautifully said.
Yeah, that's why I'm so happy that you hit your page, man. You really hustle. You're like putting in more effort than like the big, the lack of followers their page.
Oh, I'm definitely trying, man. Sometimes I post the wrong shit that I shouldn't post. Like earlier, I posted something about a microchip patent, and I got called out on it for not being exactly what I said it was. But I'm definitely trying my best here. You know what I mean? I'm just one guy, But I appreciate the shout out.
Yeah, man. Hey, that's usually plenty of times. Like that's why I said like I've made wrong things, and I think one post that I was mistaken by, and then I see you posted two. A picture of George Bush, the painting that was allegedly, according to some people that don't have a source, found in Epstein's home.
Yep.
Talking about.
Yeah, the Manhattan picture.
Yeah, so it fooled me. Pages that I trusted, like Stand Up 911 and Collective Consciousness, they posted it, their own name, and I saw it and I was like, oh wow. So I just did a quick Google search, and yeah, that artist also posted the Bill Clinton address. So I just go through the couple articles that throw that off and how that was alleged to have been found in Epstein's home, the Clinton with the blue dress. Then you scroll down the article, you see the Bush painting, and you're like, oh, okay, so old painting. But no. First off, the source for the Clinton address being found in Epstein's home, the source for that is the Daily Mail, which isn't very credible, but sometimes we post two things. And it's just basically on some person's word that he had it up in the flames house. And the way how the Bush painting got integrated into this is because the Bush and the Clinton paintings, they were part of a group that were painted in 2012 by some artists. And only the Clinton one was said to be in Epstein's house.
Yeah, the Clinton one's definitely believable because of how close of a friendship that him and Epstein had with one another. The Bush one with the Jenga towers and the paper airplanes, yeah, that really caught me as like, oh, I don't even have to research this because I saw the Clinton one, so I'm just going to assume it's true. That was my mind state at the time, and I've definitely learned since then not to just go irrationally on my judgment and actually look into things first.
That's how they're going to get us. man. They're gonna take this one little thing that you posted that's incorrect. They're gonna say, "Oh, well, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He must be wrong about everything." You know, that's how they get it. And I think they put a lot of fake information out on purpose. So, for instance, the Simpsons thing, maybe this wasn't deliberately by the government doing this, but, they say the Simpsons predicted Trump and that he was on the escalator in 2000. But no, that footage of him on the escalator in the Simpsons was done after in real life. And just like they want to him in a coffin, that's like an artist rendition that someone made, too. But like, people are quick to repost these memes. You gotta do a little bit of research before you post a meme that you saw. It's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
That's how they're gonna get us, man. Just group us all together. They're gonna tie you into the flat earthers and whatever else.
Yeah, I got called a flat earther earlier today. I was kind of confused because I've never been a flat earther at all. I believe a lot of shit, but I don't believe in flat earth personally.
See, man, that's what I just said. You're really confirming it. I mean, they want us to relate together.
Yep. Yeah, they try to group us all into one giant category of crazy people. That's what it is.
Yeah, and that means you vote for Trump if you don't trust the government.
Yeah.
Did you see the documentary, Out of Shadows?
Out of Shadows?
Yeah.
I have not. I'll write that down right now, though.
Yeah, it came out, I think, March this year, and I didn't watch it until the summer, because it started out, the documentary, the director, in the first minute or two, he's talking about I never really cared for conspiracy theories like Bigfoot, 9/11, flat Earth, and I turned it off right there. I'm like, what? You're not going to look into these things and you're going to make a video about this? So I didn't watch it until recently, and I did watch it, and overall, I'd say worth the watch. I think it was a great introduction into what's going on, and it's mainly about before COVID, so it's mainly about Hollywood. I guess that was actually a Hollywood stunt, and so he was close with working in Hollywood, met all these actors and stuff in that world, and I just come out and made this documentary, and it's since been banned, of course, but it got so many millions of views. It was going mega viral. We're talking in the tens of millions. I think it hit over 10 million. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I'll definitely give that a look. Thank you for that one.
Yeah, it was good. The only criticism I put on it is they tied Pizzagate into it. It's really about the pedophiles in Hollywood and stuff like that. Well, that's what it's about. But yeah, they put Pizzagate in it, and that's fine. It's only an hour long. So much you could say. Unfortunately, that's the thing. You want to explain to someone why you think 9/11 is an inside job. It can't just be one sentence.
Yeah, no, you got to build up for sure.
You really got to show them all the evidence before you say oh, well, Pizzagate, that's real. There's a lot of stuff you got to look at before you can consider that.
What are your thoughts on Pizzagate? Because that was kind of back and forth with conspiracy theorists. Some people believed it, some people didn't.
Mm-hmm. Well, I looked into it, man. The fact is that this guy who owns Pizza Place does have high-level government insider connections, and that these people, that he and his friends, they post extremely creepy, disturbing images with children with disgusting captions and stuff like that. So, regardless of what happened, the dude's a creeper one way or another. How much of debate. And we had a little start. The whole thing started through WikiLeaks emails
with Podesta and Hillary.
And they were doing all these codes in the emails, and they never came out and denied it. Clinton, Obama, they were all emailing. They never came out and denied the email. So, I guess that just leaves us to assume that they're true if they're not going to even acknowledge it.
Yeah.
They're just going to ignore it. So, yeah, they're using all these code terms, and the pizza place got tied up into it, and then we look at their account, see all the weird things they're posting, and the symbolism from the FBI matches their logo, and it was, in my opinion, man, I don't trust WikiLeaks. I don't trust Edward Snowden or anything. They could be legit, but in my opinion, people are basically being used as useful idiots. They're playing their role. They think they're doing a good job. Many people in the politics world are playing it. So whether it's Andrew Yang or Ron Paul or whoever else, they very well, I believe, are good people at heart and want to do the right thing. But they're just involved in this world, so they have people telling them these different things and makes them believe one thing or another, and influences them. So yeah, the pizza game, man, I think it might have been a controlled thing on purpose, sort of create this whole narrative. Don't believe me on this. If you go to Google Trends and type in fake news and then type in Pizzagate and compare,
yeah.
The reason fake news is now a term that everyone knows is because the Pizzagate, they spiked up the exact same day. Because of Pizzagate, that fake news became popular, and then right afterwards, Trump was using it, and then people think Trump made it up, but no. So I think it's a possibility. I mean, I don't know. I'm talking about the fact, and come to your own conclusion on that.
Yeah, me personally, I think the most important aspects of that whole Pizzagate thing were the fact that John and Tony Podesta were caught, doing spear cooking with Marina Abramovich. Hillary Clinton advisors were all caught sacrificing children to Moloch. Like, these are open emails that, like, you know what I mean? Like, word for word. Human sacrifice, mock sacrifice. Are you coming over for dinner this tonight or something? Bring your brother. He loves spirit cooking. Like, weird shit like that. I feel like that shit right there was, like, the most, like, groundbreaking pieces of evidence that came out of the whole Pizzagate thing.
At the same time, talking about aliens stuff. You seen that?
I did not know. I didn't hear about the alien things. No.
Yeah, they were talking about UFOs and stuff. So then we have it coming out now. They're confirming that, these unidentified flying objects. We don't know what it is. We don't know if it's human made. So we hear that happening now in recent years.
Especially now, this year, the Pentagon admitted that they have vehicles from other places that the humans did not build. Have you heard about that? The Pentagon admits that.
I know they admit UFOs now.
No. They admitted straight up that they have vehicles from other worlds.
I got to see that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This was within the last couple months.
Yeah, it's all coming out now. It's kind of ridiculous how, 2020 clear vision, I predicted it. I'm like, yeah, that's what it means. We're going to see clearly the future of where humanity is heading. Unfortunately, I did not predict that a virus would be the perfect excuse for doing a little, but it is.
Yeah, it's fitting the role pretty well,
Well, yeah, regardless of what you believe or think, these people in government have said the term, never let a good crisis go to waste. So even if the corona is 100% real and legit, never let a good crisis go to waste. If they have these plans, and they, basically prepared for this to happen, like Bill Gates and everyone, then they're going to use it for their plan.
Beautifully said. Well, all right, man. It's been almost an hour and a half. I think we call it. That was pretty good, if you ask me. We got a lot in there.
That was great, man.
Yeah, I appreciate your time more than anything, man. It means a lot to me.
Yeah, dude, we definitely gotta make something happen soon. We'll try and make more concise, a little bit more organized. Yeah, man. I'm so happy that you're making this podcast, man, because I've been meaning to do the same thing, and you're ahead of me there, making your comment and things.
Hey, if you make one, I'd love to come on for you, man. I'd love to do one for you too.
Yeah, man. So yeah, it was great talking with you, bro.
You too, man. Thank you again. Thank you for following the page, man. I don't say that enough to my followers. I appreciate anyone who follows the page, man. It's one big family we're helping to make.
Dude, thank you, man. Definitely a great name, nice setup. I feel like you're gonna continue to get in traffic, and I'll definitely share your stuff.
Sweet. All right, man. You take care, Chris. It was good talking to you, man.
Definitely, bro.
All right, take it easy.